Well, good evening. Let's all take a psalm book and turn to page 506. Page 506. Okay, let's try that. I just gave you the wrong one. 502. 502. I've just been informed there's two of these titles. I just picked the wrong one. Stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Lift high his royal banner, it must not suffer loss. Victory unto victory, his army shall be holy. Till every foe is vanquished, and Christ is Lord indeed. Stand up for Jesus, the trumpet call obey. For to the mighty conflict in this his glorious day. Ye that of him or serve him against the numbers let courage rise with danger, and strength to strength oppose. Stand up for Jesus, and in his strength alone. The arm of flesh will fail you, ye dare not trust your own. Put on the gospel armor, each piece put on with prayer. Duty calls of danger, be never wanting there. Stand up for Jesus, the strife will not be long. This day the noise ahead, the next the victor's song. To hit and overcome it, the crown of life shall be. With the King of glory shall reign eternally. All right, 264, page 264. I believe I've got that one down right. Sweet hour of prayer that calls me from right, let's sing the third verse now. Sweet hour of prayer, may I
Good evening to you. Good to see you. Thanks for making the journey and the trip. The Lord speaks to your heart. Couple of things to throw at you. Come to Aaliyah and Allison's graduation parties. And as we said last week, bring them money. They don't care that you're there. They don't. They probably won't even talk to you. They just want your money. I'm joking. They will talk to you if you come. And then they will take your money. Yes, indeed. We had party crashers at Dawson and Derek's, didn't we? 3 kids show up. We didn't know who they were at all. There was a party. They showed up. They didn't bring any money, though, we don't think. Only bummer. So, good stuff. Wednesday nights in the summer. We are going to, we don't have a fancy name for it. We threw some around. Midweek Connections, Midweek Vibes. Hump Day Happiness, we threw that one in there. But we're going to, you're intrigued, aren't you, Bob? He's like, what are we talking about? See, that's what happens when you leave, then you don't know what's going on. But we're going to shorten down the service just a little bit, probably about 7:45, and then we'll do ice cream next week. That'll be the start of it. After service, just kind of a small fellowship afterwards. That's in 2 weeks. It's June the 4th. I have June the 4th down. That's not next week, though, is it? No, it's not, because that's not officially summer yet, according to the planning committee. I wanted ice cream next week, but the planning committee said no, I had to wait till summertime. So you know what? Come to my office next week, we'll have ice cream. But June the 4th, we'll start that. And I'll let you know if we have a fancy name for it. Maybe we'll make shirts. That's the thing. Everybody makes shirts for everything, right? You know, that's the thing. Sometimes you see some shirts and you're like, "What did you make that for?" Right? There are those out there. So, just to kind of give you another chance to just fellowship, and it's summertime, so you don't have to hurry home and for school, anyways. All that kind of stuff. So, put that in the back of your mind. I'll remind you as we get closer to that. Bob, you come forward. Do you have an update on? I didn't get an update on Ryan today. Did you get an update on Ryan today? Is he just healing, basically? They got him through the surgery. Pastor Ryan at Bedford Alliance, what he had was just, when he was 18 or 19, he had a bowel issue, and they took all of his large intestines, so he just had a small intestine, and his scar tissue basically blocked that off and caused an infection, so they pulled his entirety of his small intestine out of his body on Sunday, and were cleaning that, which you can imagine is a very dangerous and lengthy process. And so they didn't expect him to make it through the night Saturday night. He did, got through the surgery, and he's doing good. He has a decent road of healing ahead of him and quite a bit of pain, as you can imagine. And so just keep on praying for him, but the Lord will take care of him. So beyond that, that's why I know I forgot to text anybody today to ask them any more than that. So, Bob.
right, let's take our psalm books one more time. Let's turn to page 209. 209, till the storm passes by. In the dark of the midnight, have I often my face while the storm towers above me, and there's no hiding place. On the crash of the thunder, precious Lord, hear my cry, keep me safe till the storm passes by. Till the storm passes over, till the thunder sounds no more, till the clouds roll forever from the sky. Hold me fast and let me stand in the hollow of thy hand. Keep me safe till the storm passes by. Many times Satan whispers, there's no need to try, for there's no end of sorrow, there's no hope by and by. But I know thou art with me, and tomorrow I'll rise where the storm never dark in the sky. Till the storm passes over, till the thunder sounds no more, till the clouds roll forever from the sky. Hold me fast and let me stand in the hollow of thy hand. Keep me safe till the storm passes by. When the long night is ended and the storm comes no more, let me stand in thy presence on that bright, peaceful shore, in that land where the tempest never comes. Lord, may I dwell with thee when the storm passes by. Till the storm passes over, till the thunder sounds no more, till the clouds roll forever from the sky. Hold me fast and let me stand in the hollow of thy hand. Keep me safe till the storm passes by.
Proverbs chapter 1. Looking at people in Proverbs, we'll start with the simple. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse number 1. It says, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. Solomon had a purpose in writing this. He wanted to be a help. He wanted to take the wisdom that God had given him and to pass it on. So who are the simple? He says one of the purposes of these proverbs is to give that subtlety to the simple, to give that person the ability to work through some things in life. You ever meet somebody where you said they're a really nice person, but just when it comes to just the normal, everyday, how do you figure life out, that's a struggle for them? That's just a simple person. They just struggle. So who are the simple? Give a couple definitions of it. Number one, they are not moving at all spiritually. They're not a person that is on a track spiritually. And that's on the account of age, inexperience, or an incapacity of some sort. There are some people that just mentally they are disabled. That is a thing, and no, you shouldn't make jokes about it because that's not funny and all those kinds of things. But that is an issue. That is something, and those people will be simple their entire life. That's who they will be. Second thing is they are not unreligious or immoral people, or at least not yet, meaning this. We'll see it as we go forward. That simple person is on the track to be the fool or the scorner, depending on where he goes. And Solomon lays it all very nicely for you. They are not unreligious or immoral people, but rather children or childlike people who are only starting out on the path of life and thus are about to decide whether to move forward to the Lord or away from him. And that's what Solomon is trying to help, to give that simple person some instruction of wisdom, some justice, some judgment, those words of understanding. Thirdly, they are easily enticed. They're easily enticed. They are gullible people. They are thoughtless, and they are naive. And it's just a struggle. So remember when I said last week, as we're looking at these things, look at yourself. Hey, do I struggle in any of these areas? How am I at life's choices? Did you go to school with somebody and you look at their life, and yes, you're judging them because you do. And you look at their life and you look at your life, and you know what the difference is? My best friend in high school. You know what the difference in his life and my life are? Just choices. And I mean that is all that they are. It's just simple choices. And he's just not super great at making good ones, and the problem is when you start making bad ones and then you get around the wrong group of people, that just adds to all of that. And all of a sudden you're so far down a path, now you feel like there's no way to come back out of that path again, and now you're just stuck in that Finding Nemo whirling vortex of terror. You're just there, and your life is a disaster, and you don't, and I know we it's easy to judge someone, but I think people get there and they don't know what to do. They've burned every bridge, and they don't know how to get out of where they are. Fourthly, they are given many opportunities to turn from their simple ways and to pursue knowledge and wisdom by accepting and embracing correction. And Solomon, as well as we'll look tonight, there's a lot of people that they're simple, but that simple person that we're going to talk about, they're either going to be the fool or the scorner, or they're going to be the wise man. It doesn't mean you have to stay there. It just means maybe this is where you are, but you're going to start making choices, and you're going to start walking down or going down a pathway that will lead you one direction or not. If they won't heed the correction, then they will turn towards, as he said, that person who's the scorner, or the person who is just the fool. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. The simple person doesn't say that. He's not really saying anything yet. But if not taking and heeding the advice, if not taking and heeding the direction that he's given, that's where, if he's not careful, that's where he ends up. Let's look at this verse, chapter 1 and verse number 4. Who is this simple person? Number one, he's a person, or she is a person, that is in need of discernment. Discernment. Notice, he says, give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and what? Discretion. If you can't discern something, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. What is to discern something? To distinguish. To separate with the eye of understanding. To be able to look at this and say, this is good and this is bad. To when you get the text from the Prince of Egypt, who just needs your Social Security number so they can transfer the funds, right? I've done work for people whose parents have lost. One was a dad and the other one was a mom who got an email. And they gave the info. And it's, gone. Never to return. You know what they needed? They needed a little bit of discernment. They needed that's probably someone who's just a little simple. And I tell people, listen, if you don't understand the technology, don't do it. Listen, if you can't handle the smartphone, if you don't understand how it works, then leave it alone. If the World Wide Web freaks you out, then don't get on it, right? If it looks fishy, it probably is. You need some discernment in your life to be able to distinguish, to make good choices. But the simple person is they just can't. And it doesn't mean, don't use this word, it doesn't mean that they're stupid, right? Because that's where you go. Oh, you're just, no, that fits more into the category of the fool. But you're just simple. You look at it, and if you're a person who can make quick choices and you see right or wrong and you're moving through life and blah, 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 you look at someone like that and be like, well, come on, let's go. But for them, it's honestly sometimes really a struggle. Go to chapter 9. Let's look at this simple person that is in need of some discernment in their life. Chapter 9, look at verse number 13. Verse 13 says, a foolish woman, and notice this, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is what? Simple. Okay, so there is someone who is simple, but they've already chosen the path of the what? The fool. She's already walked down the path of the fool. She was simple. That means somewhere in her life she made some choices, and that those choices took her to being a fool. Notice she is simple and knoweth what? Nothing. It doesn't mean that she could have never known anything. Right? That doesn't mean that people withheld all the information. I'm tired of all of this stuff. Well, you just have a leg up on everybody. No, I work my tail off every day. And to do my best to make good choices with money, right? I'm sorry that you don't. Right? I don't feel bad at all. If you don't have any drive to do something in your life, and you want to live in your mom's basement till you're 40, listen, knock yourself out. It's a sweet life, right? All your meals and all that kind of stuff, no, have some drive, do something with yourself, and don't feel bad when God blesses that. If a man doesn't work, he shouldn't eat. That's biblical. So go work. And listen, if you're a hard worker, God will bless that, and you will move forward. What do you have to do? Anymore? It's a hard thing. You ready? Here's what you have to do. You got to show up to work. You show up to work, you're employee of the century. Right? Right? People just don't show up. They're just not coming. They're not even going to be there. So she is simple. She knoweth nothing. Here's what she does. Here are her actions. For she sitteth at the door of her house, on the seat in the high places of the city. So she's very much, if you go look at verse number 1 of this same chapter, she's very much like wisdom. So there's wisdom. She'd builded her house. She'd hewn out her 7 pillars. And Solomon speaks of wisdom, speaking from the high places, right? Verse number 3. She's crying from the high places. So both people are trying to get everyone's attention, right? So you got voices on both sides of it. She sitteth at the door of her house on the seat of the high places of the city to call passengers who go right on their ways. There's an intention into what she's saying. There's a purpose into this woman's speech. She has, just like in Proverbs 7, and we'll talk about her too, but there was an intention to what she was doing. People that are stuck in sin want to drag you into their sin. They do. Verse 16. Whoso is simple So here's verse 15. To call passengers who go right on their way, so she's calling to them from the high places. Whoso is simple, let him turn in thither. And as for him that wanteth understanding, she saith to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. She's saying to the simple person, she's saying to the person who needs understanding. In other words, she's saying to the person who is in the exact same spot she was in at one point. But now she's a foolish woman. Now she is the fool. Now she's the fool ranting, and what is she doing? Come join me. That is what she's saying. She's not saying, hey, and I'm not saying that everyone does this, but most of them are not saying, hey, don't walk down this path. There are those that will do that, but she is not doing that. Stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant, but he knoweth not that the dead are there. That's the end result of that. And that her guests are in the depths of hell. There's not a good end result to it. The wages of sin is what? Death, every time. There's not an escape for that. Absolutely. Evil communications, except on Tuesdays. No. Every time they do it. We feel like we can find exceptions to things, right? No. If you hang out with those people on a continual basis and they're involved in sin and doing sinful things and you're spending lots of time with them, it will rub off on you. Guaranteed. It'll at least warp your thinking. You may not partake, but you may now look at the sin that is clear in their life, the sin that God describes in your Bible, that you say that you believe, but now, since that's the friendship you chose and that's the direction, and you listen to this voice, now that you're there and you're spending time, now you look at those sinful things, which are sinful things, and well, they're just really good people. Listen, they may be good people, but they're sinful people. And it will have an effect. What does she want them to do? Verse 17. She wants them to join her in what she is doing. And what is she doing? She is dwelling with the dead in the depths of hell. The issue is we don't like to say things like that anymore. Everything needs to be warm and fuzzy, and let's hold hands, and Jesus will give you a big hug. But he may give you a big hug. He may say, depart from me, for I never knew you as well. You got both options on that one. And shame on me if all I'm doing is cozying up to the foolish, simple woman, forgetting the fact that evil communications corrupt good manners. Every time, there's no way around that. She is simple. She is calling in verse 16 to whoso is simple. She's moved to the place of being that fool that is speaking to other people. She is drawing people in. Verse 16, Matthew Henry says she calls them simple. She calls them people that are wanting an understanding. It's almost like she's mocking them. So what does she do? She courts them to her school, her way of thinking, that they may be cured of their restraints and formalities of their religion. That's tough. The world doesn't want anything to do with a Jesus that says heaven or hell. The world doesn't want anything to do with a Jesus that says right or wrong. They want the gray area. And what I see in Christianity is more Christians are wanting the gray area. Listen, you're snuggling up to a foolish woman who used to be simple, and she made a bunch of choices, and all she's trying to get you to do, she's offering you candy and she wants you to get in the white van. Right? That's what she's doing. What do you need? You need some discernment. You need to be able to look at that and say, oh, that isn't good. That isn't good. I haven't had too many instances. I don't know what everybody else would say in Flooring in here, but I just had a couple in 26 years where I was in a house and I thought, ooh, I better leave. This is weird. I'm just going to go now. Or I did a measure and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to walk. This is just weird. Why? What was it? I don't know. But something inside of me said, this isn't good. This is not okay. You need some discernment in your life. Go to chapter 14. Look at verse 18. Here's where Solomon kind of gives you that direction of the simple person. Verse 18 says, the simple inherit what? Folly. But the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The simple inherit folly. The simple are in the direction of being the fool. They're walking that path. Sin is the shame of sinners. The simple, who Solomon says love simplicity. Do you know what they get by loving simplicity? Zero. They get nothing. Do you know what you're guaranteed if you put zero into your retirement account? You're guaranteed zero return. And if you live the life as a Christian of a simple person, you're going to have no return someday. Zero return. I need some discernment to be able to make spiritual choices, to be able to say, listen, I can do this, I can go there, I can be here, I can't be around them, that's not good. You have to be able to make those choices. You have to be able to see those things, remember? To separate with the eye of understanding, to be able to look at it and pull it apart and understand why it is maybe you can't go down that path. All right, what's the second thing you need? Go to chapter 7. We will not read chapter 7 in its entirety. Chapter 7 is an awkward chapter in the Bible, right? It's like the Song of Solomon. You know, very few messages. I've got one out of chapter end of 4 and into 5. That's the tame part of Song of Solomon, right? It's one of those books you don't read family devotions out loud with everybody. You just leave it alone. Just not comfortable reading. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse number 7. Let's go to verse 6. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and I beheld among the simple ones. So birds of a feather flock together, right? I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. Number 2, the simple is someone in need of understanding. Discernment, yeah, but the understanding goes a long way. Understanding is an apprehension of the state of things. It's akin to discernment. It's looking at the situation knowing this isn't good. It's like when you're on a trip and you need to use the restroom and you get off at an exit, and as soon as you get off, understanding floods in and you get right back on and go find another place, right? Ever done that before? You say, ooh, this isn't good. I shouldn't be here. This is not a place for me. I've had to work in places like that in Toledo. You're driving somewhere and you're like, I shouldn't be here, yet here I am. Here we are. I did a bunch of that work early on, 02, 03, 04, if you're down in Toledo where the streets end in wood, and Detroit is in the middle of them, and all those wood, buddy, you get there at 7 o'clock in the morning and you leave by 2. It's okay if you do it that way. Just don't stay any longer than that. It's freaky. It's freaky, man. Why? I don't belong there. Not a good place to be. I remember when we were, second high-risk doctor she had for pregnancy was down at St. B's, and so we would take Nebraska all the way down through Collingwood, all that kind of stuff. And I told Anthony about that one time, and he said, don't do that. I said, but I'm going during the day. It doesn't matter. You don't belong down there. He said, Anthony, I'm offended at that. He didn't care. This young man was a young man void of understanding that went out into the world not principled as he ought to have been in the wisdom and the fear of God. He was just walking out into a place he didn't know what was going on. He was just with his group of friends, and out they went. And as he's looking at them in verse 6, he noticed, hey, there's a group of simple people, and there's a young man in the middle of that doesn't have a clue of what is going on, and that's a bad combination. Bad combination. Go to Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9. if I surround myself with people that are just like me, it's very difficult for me to grow. If there is no one in my friend group that challenges me, then we all stay simple. And remember that simple person inherits folly. Eventually you will end up if you get in your car and just start driving, you'll end up somewhere. Right? A little wisdom and some understanding says, I need to have an ending destination to this. The simple person just gets in their car and just goes. And then the car runs out of gas and they're like, well, how'd that happen? That's inheriting folly, right? Because you and I would look at that and go, well, A, when you got in the car, how much gas did you have? And then what was your plan as you were going? Because now your car literally tells you, you can go 3.2 more miles. And then you're all dead, right? I mean, that's how it spells it out for you. How did you do that? How did you get to that point? Proverbs 9 and verse number 1. Wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewn out her 7 pillars. She hath killed her beasts. She hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table. She hath sent forth her maidens. She crieth upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding. That sounds really similar, doesn't it? So look at verse 4 and look at verse 16. It's the same exact thing, except it's the second voice that's speaking. You're either going to have someone lost in simplicity and is foolish, who wants your attention, who's going to draw you in, or wisdom's going to be trying to talk to you. And here's what wisdom says. Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. Forsake who? The foolish. And do what? And live and go in the way of understanding. You have a choice to make. If you're in need of understanding, then who you're around and who you mingle with and who you hang out with, all of that matters. All of it matters. And all of those people will have an effect in your, not only on your life, but the way that you think. Don't let the world and the people that you work with affect your mind so much that you start second-guessing the Word of God. Pretty much everything's accepted by the world today. Right? Although I worked for a family last week, and the nurse was like the nurse that took care of the kid who was paraplegic, and she looked at me and she said, she said, I'm old school, but she said, I don't like tattoos. I said, oh, okay. So I covered mine up really quick. She said, yeah, if I go anywhere like medical or anywhere, or even out to eat, and the waiter has a tattoo, I always ask for a different person. I'm just like, oh my, we're at a new level right there. So then I was thinking to myself, like, you don't eat out much, do you? Because if you're like, I want a person with no tattoos, they're like, can you serve yourself? But for her, that was a huge deal. She's like, you know how unclean that is? To go get one of those? I'm like, okay. You know what we think? We think that everybody accepts everything and everything's okay with everything. And they're not. They're not okay with it. Is she right? Doesn't matter. I don't care. That is not high on my list of things that I am worried about, right? Like if you went somewhere and you got a tattoo and now you have something because that's on you. Good luck with that, right? That has no effect on my life. I don't think it gets in my food. If it does, oh well, I'm doomed now because I've already had too many. I didn't think that process through, I guess. Wisdom is talking to the simple man just as the fool is talking to, or the foolish woman is talking to that simple man in verse 16. And so you've got all of those voices. You got two voices, and you're going to have to make a choice. And you need understanding to make that choice. Both of them say to that simple person, hey, turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding, hey, they have something for you. But the world's understanding and God's understanding are two different things. And they will take you in two different paths. You will end up at two separate destinations depending on what you listen to. Go to chapter 8, look at verse number 1. Here's the third thing. A simple person is in need of discernment, is in need of understanding. And then the third one is in need of wisdom. Doth not wisdom cry, verse number 1. and understanding put forth her voice. She standeth at the top of the high places, by the way of the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in of the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice to the sons of man, O ye simple. Understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Wisdom is this, the right use or exercise of knowledge. It's employing discretion and or discernment. Wisdom is taking the previous two things and putting them into practice. Wisdom is employing all of the information that you can gather and making that good choice. Who needs it? The simple person needs it. She says, hey, I'm standing here. I am crying out to you. I am pleading with you. Understand some wisdom. Make good choices. We will be held accountable for the choices that we make. Here's the third thing. Go to chapter 14. We're in need of discernment, understanding, wisdom. The fourth thing is prudence. Proverbs 14, look at verse 15. 14:15. The simple believeth what? Every word. But the prudent man, what does he do? Look at the well to his going. The prudent man, you know what prudence is? Wisdom applied to practice. It's just you follow the chain down. You need discernment, you need understanding, you need wisdom, you need prudence, and prudence is down here. It can, you could be called a prude, right? Why are people called a prude? Because they're employing everything above what we just talked about. And what does it do? It makes you draw lines in the sand. It makes you look at situations and say, I'm withdrawing myself. Well, they might not like me. Do you need them to like you? Is it going to be a good result if they, the proverbial they, like you? How important is it? What is the influence that they're having? Why is it so important that they have to like you, right? We get caught up in those things. And if you're a person, if you're a people pleaser or you want people to like you, that's a big draw and you're going to get yourself into trouble. You need some prudence. Why? To be able to apply all of those things across the board and to make a good decision. Listen, I can't do that. Went out for our anniversary last night and could have had some wine. Yeah. It's free. It's our anniversary. Figured why not? You're wondering, aren't you? You're like, No, you know what we said to her? We don't drink. And she didn't blink. She just kept rolling with her life. Prudence takes the wisdom, the understanding, and the discernment and puts it into your life. Say, why don't you drink? I don't need to. Don't make it super spiritual. It's not. No, I just don't. I don't need to. It has an absolute destructive force that I don't need in my life. And it may be that I can handle it, but how about them? Can they handle it? You know what prudence makes me do? Just take a step back. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Everybody's doing it. Oh, I know, believe me. Everybody's doing it. So if everybody jumped off a bridge, right? That's where you go with it, right? And Jessica Rain said, I'll be at the bottom to catch everybody. I mean, quiet, Jess. Nobody asked you. Prudence isn't necessarily the life of the party, right? I feel bad for all the girls that got named that. Prudence. What? Oh, come on. Terrible. It's not the life of the party, but it is something that you need. The simple person needs it in their life. Without it, you end up a fool. The simple believes every word. The simple forgets that all men are liars. The simple just says everybody's okay and everything is wonderful, and they believe everything that you say to them, and they get caught up in scams, and they give away money to people, and it's, oh. I was working last week, and I saw a young man that came to my door last summer, still working for the same company. And just door to door trying to get rid of all your pests that come to your house, all your ants and bugs and blah, blah, blah. And you too, for $5,500 a year, can get rid of all of your insects. It's like, no. But the simple believes every word. The simple gets themselves into trouble. Go to chapter 22. Look at verse 3, and then grab chapter 27 at the same time. 22 and 27. (22:3) and then 27:12. 22:3. The prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and what? And are punished. Chapter 27, verse 12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are what? Punished. You think he was trying to get a point across saying it twice? If there's a sign that says bridge out, maybe you should pay attention. Right? The simple believes, once again, every word, and they just trust anybody, and they get punished for it. The prudent man looks at that and notices some things and employs some discernment and some wisdom and some listen, if you're 3-4 steps into life, in other words, you're in your 20s and your 30s, I don't think 40 is magical. I don't think 50 is magical. Just pay attention as you're growing up, okay? You'll learn stuff, right? By the time you get to your 30s, you shouldn't be making as many mistakes as you made when you were 18, 19, and 20. Right? You should have some of that stuff figured out. But some people don't. They just keep running the car into the tree over and over and over again, thinking that something else is going to happen. The example of this scripturally, someone that's simple and just does whatever they want to do and are punished for, is Exodus chapter 9, verses 20 and 21. He that feareth the word of the Lord among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses, and he that regarded not the word of the Lord left his servants and the cattle in the field. And what happened to them? They died in fire, fallen from heaven. The simple said, God, what's he going to do? You know, there's not Mother Nature, right? We all know that. But when God just lets Mother Nature do what she wants to do, that's a very destructive force. When a lot of North Carolina slid off the face of the earth, that was just nature just doing its, that was God just saying, okay. He said he wasn't going to flood the whole thing again, but just look at the moments where he just lets it go. You imagine how, I read once how hard that rain was falling. So hard that you can't even stand up. So hard that you don't even know where you're at. You don't even know what's happening. You've never seen rain before, so what's that, right? But when God just kind of stepped, listen, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple's like, okay so far. No, employ some understanding, employ some wisdom. Go to chapter 19. Keep your place there, 21, and then go to chapter 19. Here's the last one. We're in need of prudence, and we're in need of life lessons. These two verses go along with the last two that we just read. Chapter 19 and verse 25, and chapter 21 and verse 11. 19:25 says, smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. Reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. Chapter 21, look at verse 11. It says, when the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. The simple will beware, and the simple is made wise. Meaning what? Meaning the simple hasn't made that final choice of what destination they're going to. So the simple person can make good choices. The simple person can have some discernment. The simple person can use some understanding. The simple person can go in the right direction. Chapter 19 and verse 25, that you smite a scorner, and the simple's going to be, oh, okay. Because the simple person is hanging out with the fool and the scorner. That's the company that they're keeping, generally. And when they see that, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to make note of this. 21:11, when the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. When the scorner is punished, the simple can look at it and say, oh, note to self. I'm gonna learn from that. I'm gonna beware of that. Case in point, only one time in your life will you ever lay a rake down on the ground with the tines up, right? Not because the tines are going into your boot, but because the handle is coming into your face, right? That's the voice of wisdom right there. Just in case you happen to forget and you laid the rake down and then your dad steps on it and it hits him in the face, that's not a good day. It just, I heard about that one time. That didn't turn out to be a great day for that young man. But anyway, it's just in case that were to happen. I heard that story somewhere. When you laugh, I know my kids do this. When you laugh inside at your dad, oh man, I was dying laughing. He was so mad. He had a right to be mad. I mean, it smoked him square in the face. It was funny. Second to that funny, he doesn't watch these. He ain't gonna have any idea. Second thing was, Mom used to take the old soy sauce bottles and take the plastic cap off the top of it. Because when it has the plastic cap, the soy sauce just dribbles out of it, Well, when you take that off there, that's like a half-inch hole. And then she would get vanilla, and she would fill one and have tape on it and say vanilla. Well, someone forgot, me, to put the soy sauce on the table when I set the table, and there was no soy sauce for his rice, so he got up in a huff and went to the cupboard and grabbed the vanilla and came back to the table, and he had a plate. That vanilla, his chicken was swimming in vanilla. That rice was swimming in vanilla. Another moment, I laughed on the inside at what was going on over there. It was just funny. It was funny. Yeah. I tried to be the prudent man, right, that foresees the evil and hideth himself in those moments. I tried to do that kind of stuff. Only a fool learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Now, you ought to learn from the stuff you do, but that's kind of foolish. I mean, definitely do it, but man, you ought to spend your life learning. Hey, don't do that. Don't look at someone else's life and, don't handle yourself that way. Don't do that. I tell you about the lady at Central and King? I told you in Sunday school, didn't I? Dawson's got it on video. You still got the video? Yeah, we saw road rage the other day. And then we saw instant karma right behind it. It was fantastic. And it was a great example of don't do that. Don't get out of your car. No, don't get out of your car. That's how you end up mostly dead. And just don't that's not a good idea. I need life lessons. If I'm a simple person, I need those life lessons to help me to make those choices that are going to put me on either one of those paths. What are these things? When verse 19, verse 25, what did he learn? By the punishments that are inflicted on others. In chapter 21, by the instructions that are given to others. Learn looking at someone else and the stuff they're going through. Hey, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. And then learn, hey, what instruction did those people get? How are they getting that instruction? Learn both of those ways so you end up on the right path. If you're simple, if that just happens to be who you are as a person, okay, you can still end up in a good place. You don't have to listen to the voice of the foolish woman. You can listen to the voice of the wise woman. They're both offering understanding. It's just two different paths they're going to take you on. Matthew Henry said this, it is no justice at all to take a good lesson to ourselves, which was designed for another. If you can't look at someone else's life and take a note, right? Take a quick snapshot and learn something. Maybe you're simple, and that's not a slam. That just may be who you are, and that's okay. You can end up on the right path. You can hang around the right kind of people. But just learn from the mistakes. Hey, learn from the mistakes you make, for sure. But have the ability, have the discernment, have the wisdom to be able to look at somebody else's life and say, when you're young, hey, look at other people. Before we had kids, we took older couples out to eat who had raised kids. Those kids were doing well. They were serving God. And we said, hey, what did you do that you would do again? What did you do that you wouldn't do again? But I didn't take people out to dinner whose marriage was a train wreck. Their kids were who knows where, doing who knows what. No. That's foolish. Why? I don't want that end result. I wasn't looking for that end result. So if you're a young person, look at other people's life. Listen, what kind of a marriage do you want? Okay, find some people, look at that. And then it's okay to ask some questions. It's okay to be proactive in those things. You don't have to be the simple person that ends up in an absolute train wreck. You don't have to be the simple person that ends up the scorner or the fool. You don't have to be there. But the simple, if they don't make good choices, they will inherit folly. That will be where you end up. All right, let's stand to our feet. Thank you for being here tonight. Be safe on your way home. Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, we'll meet back here. Hope to see you then. Father, we're thankful, God, for your word, how it speaks to us. May we take some instruction, some wisdom, some prudence, God, from what we read this evening. Help us to not be the simple person, but help us to be someone who's invested in you, God, who has a destination spiritually in their life that they're trying to get to. And God, you'll help us if we'll make those spiritual choices and have spiritual goals. God, you'll help us get there. Help us, God, through these next couple days to be closer to you, and God, to be able to take what we've learned in our life and help someone else with it. Give us a chance to be a witness for you. Bring us back on Sunday, God. We do thank you, God, for your goodness to us. In Jesus' name, amen.